My God. Anthony Edwards, man, this kid is he's unbelievable. This kid is so special. It is insane. He is like my favorite player by far to watch. I know I've said this before. I I wouldn't be shocked if in 5 years he's the best player in the league. Like the guy is unbelievable. And he's 22 years old. He's still young enough to be he could be drafted in this upcoming year's draft. He's that young. 22 years old. And he'll be 23 in August 5th. But man, is he just unbelievable. He's so fun to watch. He's so just like he's got that aggression, that hunger. He's got that people talk about like the old school mentality. He's got that mama mentality, that killer instinct, whatever you want to call it. He's unbelievable. Just a great mix of athleticism and speed and strength and just his versatility. Basically a threat everywhere on the basketball court. Obviously, he can have the highlighted poster dunks as we saw against John Collins. Poor John Collins. And John Collins got injured on the play, which is just, man, it's going to be a long time crazy dunk highlight poster. But in general, right, talking about a guy 6'4", 6'5". He's got a 6'9" wingspan, 225 pounds. So he's got good size, good strength behind him. The sky's genuinely the limit for this kid. Every year he improves. Every year he gets better. You look, this is his fourth year in the league, right? At 19 years old, he was impressive. At 19, he averaged 19 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists, 1.1 steals, and half a block. And then you just watch, and it's like every year he just gets a little better and a little better and a little better. And now you're looking at it, and he's just like, he's an all-star, top 20 player at worst, probably, maybe top 15, depending on who you ask. It's just, again, because he plays both sides of the basketball. Talking about like a legit all defensive type defensive guy that can guard and defend multiple positions, get after it on the defense side. He hustles, he takes pride in that at times. He's still in many ways just playing on just raw talent and emotion. He hasn't even gotten his grown man body yet. He hasn't even gotten the full grasp and understanding of the game yet. You see that in guys' later years. Once they get 7, 8 years in, start getting into like their mid-20s, they start getting to your prime. And you start seeing guys really, they just get it. They understand the positioning on both sides of the basketball. They understand how to find their spots better. You see guys when they start getting the elite guys like Anthony Edwards is. See those guys start getting into their primes. They just become unstoppable. And I mean, seriously, what is he going to look like 4 years from now? And he'd still only be 26. He's one of, if not the best players under 25 right now. Victor Wembanyama has been spectacular this season as a rookie, and we'll see how he continues to grow and develop. You got Chet Holmgren. Sky's the limit for a lot of these young guys. I mean, the NBA, I think, is in excellent hands post the LeBron, Steph, KD, type of period. But man, again, you just look, he goes from 19 to 21, 21 to 24, almost 25, 24.6 to 26.6. I mean, this season he's averaging 26.6 points, so basically 27 points, 5 assists, 5.5 rebounds, 1.3 steals, almost a full block. On top of that, you add in, he's shooting the best free throw percentage of his career at 83, almost 84%. He has an EFG of 52.9, which is the best of his career. 51.6% from 2-point range, which is the second best of his career since his year 2 by 0.03%. So he's basically playing the best percentage of his career, but he's also taking almost double the attempts from his second year. 3-point range, he's shooting 37%, which is the best clip of his career at 36.8%. He's only going to get better. Anthony Edwards is only going to improve. He's only going to get better. He's only going to evolve and create a better understanding. I mean, you see Minnesota is already one of the best teams in the league. Now, unfortunately, Karl Anthony Towns goes down. That's kind of just disrupted a lot because they were a team that genuinely could have been in position, and they still technically can finish as the 1 seed in the Western Conference. And you're talking about a Western Conference that's just stacked and ridiculous. I mean, you could make a genuine argument for 1 through 10 to come out of the West and win the NBA championship. Like a real genuine argument. You look at the East, it's like you have maybe 4 teams that have a real, like, okay, these teams can win a championship or come out of the East. You look at the West, and it's just like, I mean, you can make an argument for the Thunder, who are currently the 1 seed. The Timberwolves, like I said, are the 2 seed right now on a 3-game win streak, tied with the Denver Nuggets. So that's going to be an interesting bout. But, he's already, I mean, he's Minnesota's best player. So he's the best player on one of the top teams in the Western Conference at 22 years old, plays both sides of the basketball, right? Like, look, I love Luka. And Luka's actually been, like, serviceable on the defensive side. He's actually been trying defensively this season, but he's not really a great two-way guy. And you look at most of, like, the top guys in the league, they're not really two-way guys. A lot of, like, the elite of the elites, the top of the tops, a lot of them are offensively great. Right? Like, you think of, like, legit two-way guys. Think of, like, Jason Tatum, Victor Wembanyama's another one, right? Like, and we'll see how he continues to develop and grow. But, like, man, just get Anthony Edwards another, like complimentary. Because I'm not, and this is just me personally, I'm not super sold on Karl Anthony Towns being the second best player on Minnesota, right? I like Karl Anthony Towns a lot. He's an excellent player. I'm not saying that Minnesota should get rid of him by any stretch or anything like that. But I don't know how much I trust Karl Anthony Towns in moments and spots. His IQ, like, you watch Karl Anthony Towns play at times, and it's just like some of the decisions he makes, you're just like, God, like, it's exhausting at times, and not in a good way. I mean, like, and so I like, if Karl Anthony Towns was like the third best player, I'd be like, Minnesota's best team in the league. Like, good luck, right? Like, if you could get him, because you got like Jaden McDaniels, right? And I know Minnesota has been really good. How many people really believe that they're winning a championship this year? All right, unless Anthony Edwards just takes it up another level, probably not. Could they make like the conference finals or something? Sure. But like, I don't think that they beat Denver, right, in a 7-game series. Right, like, could they beat, like, I could see them beating the Thunder. The Clippers, I think, might be a tough matchup for them, because Clippers have been struggling mightily lately and just have looked terrible the last like few games. But we've seen like that team can be scary when they get going, and they have the experience. Like, my concern with Minnesota is the lack of experience, really. Right? Like, to me, it's like, you look at a lot of these young teams. Like, think of like OKC when they had Kevin Durant, Westbrook, Harden. It was like they missed the playoffs. Then they make the first round. Then they make the second round. Then they make the conference finals. Then they make the NBA championship. And it was like, man, if they just keep those pieces together, they're going to win a chip. And then they end up getting rid of James Harden and all that stuff. It's kind of how I feel about Minnesota. It's like, you got to kind of let them take their lumps. Right? Like, last year, they squeaked into the playoffs, which was huge for them. Right? And then ended up going up against, a Denver team that just kind of not necessarily ran through them, but, they were inexperienced and young and took the lump, right? So this year, I could see them making it to the second round, right? And then next year, maybe they make the conference final, or maybe even this year they make the conference final, right? Like, I do think Minnesota is one of those teams where, like, they match up really well against everybody. Like, you think of Denver, and it's like, you got Karl Anthony Towns and Rudy Gobert to throw at Jokic, right? And then you got Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels to defend Jamal Murray and all that stuff, right? Like, so, like, matchup-wise, you look at it and you're like, man, like, I just default to the lack of experience, the youth, and what does Cat look like? And does he make decisions at times? Because even like last year in the Denver game, he had several moments where you're just like, dude, you can't make that play. Like, or just again, just kind of like low IQ moments and plays. That doesn't mean he can't get there. I'm not saying he's a bad player by any stretch. I'm not saying Minnesota should get rid of him. But it's just Karl Anthony Towns is their second best player, in my opinion. Anthony Edwards is their best player. And as long as he is him, right, and he's just that monster and looks for a shot and looks to be aggressive, that's my one knock on Anthony Edwards, which, again, I believe that will come with time. But, like, when he learns to keep it going, because the thing is, he's either 100 miles an hour or he's nothing, right? Like, there's times where I want him to be a little more aggressive and he's a little passive or, kind of let other guys go. And I think a lot of that is, again, because he is 100 miles an hour or nothing. Where if he just learns to, like, I can give 80% here. I can give 70% here. I can give 80%, 85% here, and still get whatever he wants and just realize he's just that much better than everybody and end up getting to the point where it's like, he's kind of picking and choosing his spots, and then he has that reserve in the tank to just go hard at the end of games to just finish and close games. Minnesota's going to be terrifying. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Pass question to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts on Anthony Edwards? What are your thoughts on that dunk? What are your thoughts on Minnesota as a team, as a whole? Again, how do you feel? What your thoughts are? I'd love to hear it, so let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. It's when you enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. If you're not subscribed to the channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.